They say you gotta give it a few years before judging someone's career. Well, 2014 was quite a while ago now. I think we have all the data we need to judge those who were drafted in the first round. The NFL draft in many ways is a crapshoot. No matter how much money gets poured into analytics, scouting, and all the various ways that teams evaluate talent, the reality is that there's an infinite number of variables that come into play. And thus, even in the most hyped up of draft classes, there are quite a few surprises that reveal themselves once the players actually start competing at the NFL level. And the 2014 NFL draft is a great example of this. So how about we check in with the players that were taken in the first round and see how they actually fared as professionals. Number 1, Jadeveon Clowney. Between the numbers, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, at least when you look at Clowney's performance compared to the insanely high standard that number 1 overall picks are often held to. Clowney is still active in the NFL, so he may add to those totals, but as it stands, he made 3 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro team. And there is no denying that the 6'5", 270-pound muscle of a man can absolutely disrupt the game at the NFL level. He just hasn't been quite as consistent as the teams that sunk all that money into him might have hoped for. Number 2, Greg Robinson. Greg Robinson is one of the biggest busts in this draft class, perhaps even more so than our old friend Johnny Football. I mean, when you take an offensive lineman number 2 overall, well, that generally comes with the assumption that he will be a foundational member of the line for years to come. Yet, within 2 years of starting his NFL career with the Rams, Robinson was already getting in trouble for showing up to camp overweight. And his performance on the field was mediocre at best. His next couple of stops in Detroit and Cleveland were more the same, with an added spike of injuries. Then to make matters worse, in February of 2020, Robinson started to encounter legal troubles as well for drug trafficking. He's now facing up to 20 years in prison and will likely not be stepping on a football field again anytime soon. Number 3, Blake Bortles. Beyond that little stretch when he was a complimentary game manager to that fearsome Saxonville defense, Blake really hasn't fared all that well in the NFL. The former UCF quarterback has since played for a seemingly impossible 5 teams since 2019, slotting in as a backup or even a third stringer in some cases. It's sad to say, but since he left Jacksonville at the conclusion of the 2018 season, Blake has attempted just 2 passes. Oof, yikes. Number 4, Sammy Watkins. Watkins was the first receiver taken in the 2004 draft, and while he's had a few moments in the NFL, he is far from the most accomplished wideout that was taken. His best season from an individual standpoint came back in 2015, when he eclipsed 1,000 yards and notched 9 touchdowns for that first and only time in his career. Watkins also played a solid complementary role on a Super Bowl champion winning Chiefs team in 2019. Number 5, Khalil Mack. At pick number 5, Mack ended up being the first bona fide NFL star out of this draft class, and the outside linebacker has the trophy case to prove it. 1 Defensive Player of the Year award, 2 Butt-Kiss awards, 4 All-Pros, 4 Pro Bowls. The only thing missing from Mack at this point is a Lombardi trophy. And now that he's been spared from the dysfunction in Chicago, who knows? Maybe we'll actually see him do it. Number 6, Jake Matthews. Matthews was the second O-lineman taken, but he's since lapped Robinson many times over. He's played his entire career with the Falcons, earning Pro Bowl honors in 2018. Now, unfortunately for Matthews, his 2 crucial holding penalties against the Patriots in Super Bowl 51 are probably what he's best known for. Number 7, Mike Evans. While Jake Matthews has definitely outperformed Greg Robinson, that pales in comparison to the gap between Mike Evans and Sammy Watkins, the top 2 receivers taken in this draft. Evans has missed some times with nagging injuries, but he always finds a way to get it done. In fact, he's the only player in NFL history to have started his career with at least 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Not to mention the 4 double-digit touchdown seasons, 1 All-Pro, 4 Pro Bowls, and the Super Bowl ring he's also accumulated. Number 8, Justin Gilbert. Like many Browns picks over the years, this All-American defensive back out of Oklahoma State has been an absolute bust in the NFL. Gilbert played sparingly during his first 2 years in Cleveland before being shipped out to Pittsburgh for his 6th-round pick. He lasted just 1 more season in Pittsburgh before getting tagged with a 1-year suspension in June of 2017 for violating the league's substance abuse policy and bouncing out of the league entirely. Number 9, Anthony Barr. It's tough to be more consistent than the former UCLA linebacker has been during the first 8 years in the league. The only year that he missed significant time was 2020, when he tore a pectoral muscle in week 2, perhaps as a result of the disjointed offseason that we saw cause a lot of injuries throughout that year. All in all, though, he has been a great pro, earning 4 trips to the Pro Bowl and 1 All-Pro selection through his first 8 seasons, all of which were with the Minnesota Vikings. Number 10, Eric Ebron. Ebron has had one of the more puzzling careers, as his athleticism and flashes of greatness have often left teams wanting more than he's generally delivered. He does, however, have a Pro Bowl selection to his name, which he earned back in 2018 when he had career highs in receptions, yards, and touchdowns as a member of the Colts. In short, he's been good, but not necessarily what you want out of a top 10 pick. Number 11, Taylor Lewan. And Taylor Lewan deserves some credit, sticking it out in Tennessee during his first couple of seasons when the team flat out stunk, winning just 5 games over 2 years. He and the Titans started to hit their respective strides in 2016. That's when he earned his first of 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections, and hey, since then, Tennessee has turned into a perennial playoff team in the AFC. Lewan's career is not without its black marks, though, as he has had a couple of run-ins with the league office, both for his behavior on the field and for a failed drug test in 2019. Number 12, Odell Beckham Jr. There is no denying his talent. The man is a walking highlight reel. And based off of what he did during his short time with the Super Bowl winning Rams in 2021, he clearly still has it. But he is as diva gets, and that has undeniably gotten in the way of him reaching his full potential. I guess it's tough to knock a guy who won Rookie of the Year, made 2 All-Pros, and 3 Pro Bowls, and now has a Lombardi Trophy to his name. Number 13, Aaron Donald. It's not hyperbole to suggest that Donald was the best player to come out of the 2014 draft class. His resume speaks for itself. Super Bowl champion, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 7 straight All-Pros, and he's been a Pro Bowler literally every single year of his career. Enough said. Number 14, Kyle Fuller. Fuller was a valued member of those vaunted Bears defenses during his time in the Windy City. The safety made an All-Pro and 2 Pro Bowls, and while it looks like he's lost a step or 2, he's now with the Broncos and still a solid cover man. Number 15, Ryan Shazier. This is a sad one. The former Ohio State linebacker was on his way to a great NFL career before a terrifying and tragic spine injury cost him his career and nearly his life. Somewhat miraculously, though, he has since recovered enough that he can now walk again. Hell, he even danced at his wedding in 2019. So he definitely deserves some respect here. Number 16, Zack Martin. Martin has played his entire future Hall of Fame career with the Dallas Cowboys and has been an absolute force. The offensive guard has been one of the top linemen in the league every year of his career, and one of the best to ever do it. All that's left is to leave Dallas so he can actually win a Super Bowl. Number 17, CJ Mosley. The former Crimson Tide linebacker paid massive dividends to the Ravens for picking him, almost immediately. I mean, the guy made All-Pro in 4 of the first 5 years of his career, which he parlayed into a huge contract with the Jets. Unfortunately, things haven't been so great for him in Gotham, as he played just 18 games and recorded just 2 sacks and 1 interception over the last 3 years. But hey, it's the Jets. Number 18, Calvin Pryor. Speaking of the Jets, talk about a swing and a miss here. Pryor lasted just 3 years in New York and really was just a liability at safety. He played 1 more year in Jacksonville and has since flamed out of the league altogether. Number 19, Ja'Wuan James. James has had a largely disappointing pro career, particularly for a first-round pick. I mean, he's only played more than 8 games 3 times, and since opting out of the 2020 season, he's yet to take another snap. Number 20, Brandin Cooks. Cooks might be the best player out of this draft not to have made a Pro Bowl yet. I mean, he's had over 1,000 yards receiving in 6 out of his 8 NFL seasons, and with 4 different teams no less. Number 21, Ha Clinton-Dix. Although he's bounced around practice squads the past couple of years, Clinton-Dix does deserve some credit for a solid professional career. His best years came with Green Bay, the team that drafted him out of Alabama. The safety earned an All-Pro selection and 1 trip to the Pro Bowl, and was a consistent contributor on those oft-contending Packers teams. Number 22, Johnny Manziel. Well, this one kinda goes without saying, but Johnny Manziel's NFL career was one of the biggest disappointments the league has ever seen. The Aggie legend seemed more interested in being a celebrity than a football player, and that attitude got him booted from the Browns and the NFL following the 2015 season. He has since bounced around the CFL and AAF and is now playing in the fan-controlled football league. God bless you, Johnny Football. Number 23, Dee Ford. Dee Ford is similar to Jake Matthews in that he's been a solid pro, but he's best known for a costly blunder against the Patriots. A few remember that he led the league in forced fumbles in 2018, a year in which he earned a trip to the Pro Bowl. But I bet most folks can tell you all about the time that he lined up offsides against New England and gave Tom Brady a second chance, costing KC a trip to Super Bowl 53. Number 24, Darqueze Dennard. The defensive back out of Michigan State got off to a decent start in the NFL, earning playing time in a competitive Bengals secondary as a rookie. But after that, he struggled to stay healthy and earn consistent playing time. He only ended up starting 6 more games once during his 6 years in Cincy, and has largely just bounced around practice squads the past couple of years. Number 25, Jason Verrett. Verrett's best year as a Charger, and in the NFL, came during his lone Pro Bowl season back in 2015, when he totaled 47 tackles and 3 interceptions. But in the time since, his career has been derailed by injuries. In 2016, he tore his ACL, which lingered throughout 2017, and in 2018, he tore his Achilles on the first day of training camp. He spent the last 3 years in San Francisco, and unfortunately, the injury bug followed him there. He missed all but 1 game in 2019 and 2020 with an ankle injury and another torn ACL. Number 26, Marcus Smith. The Eagles had high hopes for the outside linebacker out of Louisville, but he never really amounted to much at the NFL level. He lasted just 3 years in Philly and 5 in the NFL, totaling 38 career tackles. Number 27, Deone Bucannon. Bucannon was one of the top safety prospects in the class, and Arizona was excited to add him to an already talented defensive backfield. Injuries on the team, however, dictated he spend his time at inside linebacker too. Now, Bucannon performed well, but he went down with a serious ankle injury at the end of the 2016 season and has since struggled to stay on an active NFL roster. Number 28, Kelvin Benjamin. The burly wide receiver started off well, notching a 1,008-yard 9-touchdown campaign his rookie year. But after tearing his ACL during his second season, he was never the same player. Largely because he apparently forgot how to keep himself in shape while he spent 2015 on the couch. He's bounced around practice squads since his second stop in Buffalo didn't work out, but it appears that Benjamin doesn't have the work ethic to hack it in the NFL. Number 29, Dominique Easley. Easley has to be chalked up in the bust column, as the defensive tackle out of Florida lasted just 2 seasons in New England, and after a brief stint with the Rams, he has since flamed out of the league. He showed promise when he was on the field, but the big man proved unable to stay healthy. Number 30, Jimmie Ward. Jimmie Ward is one of the only players from this draft who has played his entire career with the same organization that drafted him. During his time in San Francisco, the safety has been a Swiss Army knife for them, playing nickel, slot, and safety. He hasn't gotten much recognition, but he is a consummate professional who has had a great career. Number 31, Bradley Roby. When Denver took Roby 31st out of Ohio State, there weren't many questions about his athleticism, but more so his ability to stay focused on the field and out of trouble off of it. And for most of his pro career, that has remained true. He's shown continual flashes of greatness, but his consistency has waned, causing many to speculate on his effort level. Roby also had the misfortunes of getting pinged with a 6-game suspension in 2020 for violation of the NFL's PED policy. Number 32, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy got off to a decent start in Minnesota, serving as an effective game manager for 2 years before going down with a horrific knee injury. Bridgewater has since bounced around over the past few years, spending time in New Orleans, Carolina, Denver, and now Miami, putting up decent numbers when he's gotten a chance. Hopefully, he can find a way to make it last in South Beach. But what NFL player from the 2014 draft were you high on back then? Who do you think was the biggest disappointment? And who's been the most pleasant surprise? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.